What's going on, everybody? This is MVP, Most Valued Podcast, a podcast embracing the American football culture. I'm Terrence Owens.
And I'm TJ Richardson. Here on MVP, we'll be giving you the real and raw conversations from current and former professional athletes and coaches. This podcast is dedicated to European players and coaches wanting to develop their knowledge of the game and culture. If you're an American football fan, this podcast is for you. Today on MVP, we're going coast to coast, talking about one of the most important decisions of a young athlete's life, the choice of which college or university they're going to attend. That's a tough question for a lot of people. You have to go on a lot of college recruiting visits. Sometimes the idea of transferring comes into play. So today we're going to discuss those topics. And Terrence, I want to start with you. Tell us about your college recruiting visits and the process.
Just starting with the recruiting, in high school, I started playing varsity, football my junior year.
Okay.
So typically at my high school, freshman year, sophomore year, you're on junior varsity. Then, junior year, senior year, you are, varsity. That's how it typically is at Glenville High School because, we had those big-time athletes, I should say. But that being said, though, so I was basically started to get recruited by colleges after my 10th grade year because we started to go to a lot of, summer, college camps.
Yeah.
So, basically at my high school, we got a lot of offers, a lot of recruiting, a lot of attention from going to these camps. Obviously, we had a winning program, but the camps really did a huge deal for us. So, I would say, let's just skip to senior year. I would just say I started to get a lot of more letters, a lot of offers from, schools that, or I would just say not even offers. I would say I started to get recruited from a lot of teams that didn't necessarily give me the actual offer.
Okay.
I'll use Ohio State for an example. Every year we would have a guy go to Ohio State. So obviously, they're coming to see our games. They see other players. They're like, wow, who is this player? So I would get recruited. I took an unofficial visit, to Ohio State, but I never actually got that, that offer.
Yeah.
But going into the visits, because we're going to talk about, our experiences on the visits. I'll just start off with that unofficial visit at Ohio State. For me, it was probably my best visit, and it was unofficial. I didn't even get an offer, but
not surprised.
But as Ohio State is always top 10, best colleges in the country. So that being said, we had a lot of guys already from my high school that went there.
Yeah.
So they showed us more love just because it was familiar faces there. So at the time, Jim Tressel, he was the head coach at the time. So I got to meet him. And that experience alone, getting to meet a legend, a legend coach, like Jim Tressel, man, I was starstruck. I'm not even that type of guy to even, you see a celebrity, I'm not even that type of guy, but just to meet Jim Tressel in his office, you know what I mean? Just to have that one-on-one conversation. Well, I was with my high school coach, but that one-on-one conversation. But again, a little bit later, we will get into the, let's say the details into the visits.
For sure.
So what about you as far as your experiences, or let's talk about recruiting with you first.
I mean, for me, I was a two-sport athlete in high school. I ran track and I played football, so I got a lot of interest from both areas. So, like you said, a lot of letters from, a lot of medium-sized schools, Rhode Island, Princeton, University of Penn, Maryland. So, for me, the recruiting process was a fun thing because, at that time, you're just excited to get a letter from somebody like, hey, somebody's interested in you. So, my school at the time wasn't really good at football. We were really good in basketball, really good in track, but not super great in football. So a lot of the recruiting came from, hey, we want you to play football, so we'll give you, maybe half a track scholarship, half football scholarship, something like that. So for me, I kind of caught onto the game late about the camps. I know a lot of schools, even people going into 9th and 10th grade were already going to camps, already doing things like that. Where my school, as a collective, they didn't say, okay, hey, as a group, we're going to a camp or we're doing things like that. So eventually later on, my junior year, then I started finding out about Nike Spark combines or the National Shoeman's underclassmen combines and things like that, where it's okay, you can go to these combines and these camps, get film, get one-on-ones.
Well, were you going to those camps on your own?
On my own.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, on my own.
That's interesting.
Yeah, my older brother, he'd just be we got to go get it. So, that's the only way we're going to get it. Your school not the school not really doing it for you. Everybody at your school may not take football as seriously, so a lot of them wasn't really into it as much. As a couple players like here and there that were into it, but my older brother was like, all right, let's drive up there, let's go, let's get ready. And so we did it the hard way. We just went to the camps, you know what I mean, got recruited, had to go show out, you know what I mean. So from that, a lot of teams gained interest from, you know what I mean, not only from the track, because we were on the state, you know what I mean, on a state championship type level. From that, mixed with the highlight tape, and then, you know what I mean, going to these combines and these camps, like that's what really got the exposure up. So from that point, we really had a chance to start getting constant letters, start having communications with coaches. And you know what I mean, at that time, people don't really realize, like, just because a school is interested in you doesn't mean they're offering you a scholarship.
Yeah, definitely.
Like that's a big
I learned
thing.
The hard way on that one.
That's a big thing. So, you know what I mean, I'm thinking I'm getting, you know what I mean, I got a letter from University of Florida, so I'm like, oh, I'm about to go to Florida. Like they clearly they want me because they sent me a letter. But at that time I didn't know, they sent a ton of people letters to everybody. So I mean, at that time it was just an interesting experience. It was fun, exciting, just to kind of go through all the schools, talk to the different schools. But it was a learning process because you learn you learn the difference between, you know what I mean, a school being interested and a school officially offering you. There's a difference. There's a difference between an unofficial visit and an official visit to a school. So you know what I mean, you have a limited number of the official visits you can actually do. So I think like the whole recruiting process for me, because I didn't really have the people in staff that really gave me that experience or gave me that knowledge, the whole thing was new to me. So as I was going through it, I was learning, you know what I mean, step by step, day by day.
Okay. So real quick, your first letter that you received, that recruiting letter, like what was your, you know, that feeling for you? How was your reaction?
I mean, I was super excited. Like I was super excited. I remember I had got home from a game and the letter was in the mail, and it was the University of Rhode Island actually. Like it was the first letter that I got. So I was like, you know what I mean, super interested, super excited at the same time. But you know, at that time I'm thinking like big D1. So I'm like, University of Rhode Island. I'm like,
still,
man,
though, that letter,
no, just to get a letter, like to get your first one is like, I'm like, oh, you know what I mean, people really think I'm good. People
are
really
interested.
People think like I'm worth being at this level. People, you know what I mean, I'm worth recruiting. So for me, it was just like I mean, at that time, I was a cocky kid at that time. Like I was really cocky. So you know, I mean, just getting that first one really blew my head up. I'm like, oh, I'm the man now. Like you know what I mean, that really like for me really opened up my mind. But it was extremely exciting. It was a very happy time for me and my family just to know like, okay, there's a life after high school for me when it comes to athletics.
Yes. So for me, you know, I got my first letter was the University of Indiana.
Okay. Oh, okay.
That was that was my junior year. That's when I started the letter started to roll in.
Okay.
You know, but Indiana gave me that letter. I was so gassed. The letter didn't even say much. It was just like a, you know, they really didn't say nothing. It wasn't even a personal letter. It was just more just, you know, just promoting the school. Just showing interest. You know what I mean? But the letters just kept constantly just rolling in. So again, I had that, you know, not necessarily a big kid, but I was feeling myself as well, you know. And now to this day, I still have like 3 shoe boxes.
Full of letters.
I gotta say the letters.
Me too.
Gotta say the letters. So, but that being said, man, those letters gave me more confidence to even want to get those scholarship offers, you know. But that, like, now let's go back to the visits. Let's talk about an experience on one of your visits.
I mean, for me, a lot of people have really crazy college football recruiting visits and trips like that. Honestly, none of mine were really that crazy. Like any ones that I went to were pretty standard. I think the first one that I went to was University of Richmond, the Spiders.
Did you go with your family?
Yeah, with my family. We went out there and they showed us the campus. You know, we got to talk with all the coaches, the position coaches, head coach, special teams coach. I was a really good returner at the time, so that was the plan to play that as well. And you know, I mean, it was really just kind of like an overall kind of view, like, hey, this is what it's like. This is what campus is like. This is the dorms. And you know, going from a regular public high school to seeing a university, like that's a big. Everything is amazing. Like the cafeteria is amazing. Like the stadium, the basketball gym, like everything is. You know what I mean? Super exciting. Of course, they're telling you about these are the players that made it to the NFL or made it to camp.
They got to show you those who they brought to the league.
Well, for sure, they got to gas it up. You know, of course, they got people there. You know what I mean? They have like other players there that play my position that graduated or that are seniors, and they're like taking me under the wing, like, yeah, you need to come here. Like, this is the benefit. This is the reasons why I came here. It's a great university. So, Yeah, I mean, I think, and I did, University of Richmond, University of Maryland, and then the school I went to, Millersville University. I did official visits to all 3 places.
Okay.
All of them were really similar experiences in the fact that none of them were too wild, none of them were too crazy.
Yeah.
I think, with schools like that, none of those schools were like powerhouse football programs.
Okay.
You know what I mean? So when you get to some of the more bigger powerhouse programs, then those things kind of come into line. Those schools were like just as academic as they were athletic. So,
okay, 50-50.
Yeah, 50-50. So they really kept things, the way they were supposed to be. They really ran things by the rule. It was a fun time. It was great. Be able to spend the night somewhere, like that's not your home.
Yeah.
Be able to, like I said, you're on a campus as a young kid. So, we're going out to parties and things like that with college girls. So, we're excited just to be in the mix. Like, and they're like,
I remember those times.
Yeah, they're like, you about to come out here and do these things. So, everybody's excited. You don't know if it's you that you're cool or once I became a player, those things, you have those kind of things lined up, like the parties.
They prepare everything for you.
Prepare everything for you. But at the time, I'm thinking like, it's all for me. Like they coming to see, they coming to see me. They coming to party with me. So it was definitely a really fun experience. What about you?
It was great, but yeah, it was great. But like, did you go to just real quick? Did you go to all of your visits with your parents? Because for me, I went to Ohio University just with my mother, and then the rest of my visits I went alone.
Okay.
So what about you? Did you go?
I went to all 3 with my parents, like because they were really big into like seeing what the campus was like. They were super serious about. My parents were always super big on academics.
Yeah.
So they cared less about how the football aspect went and more about how everything else on the school went.
Okay.
So like that was the big thing. So they had to see every campus. They're like, you're not going anywhere that we don't physically see ourselves too.
Yeah,
so.
Definitely. So so going back to these visits, I'll just tell you real quick about Ohio University.
Okay.
Again, I'm from Cleveland, Ohio, so Ohio University is like Athens, Ohio, like near Cincinnati, Ohio. Near Kentucky, Cincinnati area. And I went with my mother, and she was gassed. Like she was just so blown away about because the campus is beautiful. It's like a very green, historical, campus. I mean, again, it was beautiful. We had that tour. The typical tour, and the coaches, and they had the players panel. I think my mother loved the players panel the most.
Okay.
When she got to actually ask questions to the players. The top players too at the team. So I mean, it was a great experience, but I was only going to go to Ohio University if my high school teammate was going to go with me. Okay. It sucked because like when I committed to the University of Toledo. That first year, Ohio University won the MAC championship. Oh wow! So I was like, damn, man, I wish I would have, because my freshman year at Toledo, our redshirt, we went 5-7. We were terrible at the time. So I was like, man, this probably was the biggest, like you said at the beginning. It was a huge decision for me to make to go to a school, but at the same time, it was like a terrible decision. I was like, I'm off on the wrong foot already.
I feel you.
I mean, but
when did you commit to, or at least verbally commit to Toledo?
So Ohio University was my first visit. So Toledo, they were definitely interested. They offered me, like I had a few offers on the table already. I had Ohio University, University of Cincinnati, Buffalo, University of Buffalo, damn near all the MAC schools except for Ball State and Northern Illinois. Okay, basically, and the rest were just recruited. And like you said, the difference between being recruited and offered, like I had a huge interest in Ohio State. Like they were like very interested, but it was like more of a package deal. Like they're gonna only take me, package. How
with other players.
With other players. But that being said, I decided to go to commit to University of Toledo after my Bowling Green visit. And that's our rivalry school. So like that was my next visit actually. So. This is a crazy story. So this is one of those crazy visits. Okay. So, I'm just going to get to the part where you got to be alone with the host. Okay. So that, they show you around campus, they show you, bring you to like the house parties, pre-game parties. So, it's a pre-game, so obviously some alcohol in the air. They want to show us a great time, right? Yeah. So we ended up going to a club out there. Okay. And, don't get me wrong, I was having a great time. Next thing you know, bro, a huge fight like just broke out.
Okay.
And it wasn't like a random fight. It was like the team, like the Bowling Green team, like
Okay.
the football team. They were the ones fighting, right?
Okay.
So you know, when you on that visit, you get comfortable with the guys. You meet the teammates. So everybody cool. So they actually start working. They fighting, bro. So I'm like, again, I'm intoxicated a little bit. I'm like, man, I'm not about to help these dudes. I don't even know these dudes. You know what I mean? So it was just so crazy, just because they was like wilding, like so like it was like, for me, they didn't really care like if they had a like recruiters coming on a visit or not. They was just like living their life. You know when you in college, like when you are a host, you want to make sure that the host is comfortable. You know, things like that. They didn't give two shits, bro. Like they fighting and everything. So I was just like, not coming here, bro. So at that time, I committed to Toledo. I'm like, I'm not coming here, because I was thinking about going to Bowling Green as well. But I was like, all right, I'm about to commit here, because Cincinnati, they wanted to gray shirt me. I didn't really understand what a gray shirt was. I knew what a red shirt was, so that was even kind of crucial for me. But me coming out of high school, I knew I was going to red shirt just because of my size, weight wise. But gray shirt, I'm like, man,
that's some whole other stuff.
And then I found out you have to pay one semester of school.
Damn.
Like, it's like, all right, man, I'm not. Toledo it is. Toledo it is. But at Toledo, we had a guy named Barry Church, and he was like the guy. And he played for the Dallas. He was a starting safety for the Dallas Cowboys. He was a captain. This was like, he's not in the league now, but he was in the league for a good amount of time. He was one of those guys. Like, he was really one of those guys, and he had everything set up for me perfect at Toledo. Like, it was crazy. It was like, again, like, I felt like that very important person, that VIP, but it got to the point like, hey, man, are they just doing this just to like get me here, or are they just really fuck with me that much though? But at the end of the day, they really did. Our coaching staff, you know, I really liked it. I really committed because of the coaching staff. Really did. But you know, icebreakers, right?
I get you. Yeah.
The icebreaker. So at that time, I went to my visit on the icebreaker weekend. Okay. So it was like the perfect weekend to go. So I met so many, women there, bro. Like, at the time, it was crazy because Toledo and Cleveland, it's only 2 hours away. Yeah. So I knew people that went there, but at the same time, it was just, hey man, I feel like it's too much to even say on air. For sure.
It definitely is.
It's too much to say on air.
I mean, people have to understand, like, these college recruitment visits, they get crazy. Like, real things really happen. Like, people smoke, people drink, have parties. Like, girls is there, so you can imagine what happens. Like, it gets like it's a good time. Like, don't get me wrong. Like, you know what I mean? Not for parents, any parents listening or anything like that. It's a great experience for people. You have to be careful, of course, but I mean, typically they take care of you out there. Everything goes really well.
Yeah, definitely.
I think for me, I knew that after going to my first, recruiting visit and then seeing how it was, and then going to multiple ones after that, I was like, okay, this is kind of the same kind of routine basically all schools do. I think what really made me commit to my school was the fact that the coach came to my sister's basketball game to recruit me.
Yeah, I remember you was telling me something. Yeah.
Because at the time I was like, I got injured before, and I wasn't sure if I wanted to play college ball anymore. Yeah. So, and the coach was super interested. The school was like, hey, we really want you to come here. We really, we think you would be a great addition. Like, for me, I was like, it's a whatever kind of thing for me at that point in time. Okay. Especially if it was like, if I'm not going to, Florida or Ohio State or University of Maryland or something like that. Like, I was like, oh, I'm good. Like, I'm chilling, like, for real. But when the coaches actually came to, my basketball game, my sister's basketball game, not even my game, just to sit with me in the stands to watch my sister play, and then talking about coming to the school, for me, that meant everything. Like, that meant everything. I'm like, man, this not even my event. Like, this is my sister, my little sister's event, and you came here just to sit with me and my family watching my sister play. You know what I mean? Like, that special connection that you made there, I think that's what made the biggest difference. And I think for people who choose universities or their college, like, that personal connection, having a coach come sit in your living room, talk to your mom, or some kind of personal connection, like, that really goes a long way.
And that was like one of my defining factors as well for me committing to Toledo, because our head coach, now he's the head coach at Iowa State, but he was the offensive coordinator at the time. When he came to my home, so like I always try to paint that picture, like, on Boys in the Hood, when the USC coach came to Ricky's home. It was like it was kind of the situation.
Okay.
Literally the same scenario. Like for him to come to the hood, you know, because a lot of shit happens, you know.
Yeah, for sure.
You know, in the inner city. So for him to come there and to just, you know, talk to my mom and make her feel like, you know, very comfortable and like, you know, I already had that relationship with him because, you know, we, you know, like I said, we went to a lot of camps.
Yeah.
So I met him on camps and things like that. So I had got the offer, you know, to go there.
A little while back.
You know, a little while back. So for him to even like, you know, come all the way, you know, to Cleveland just to show like, hey, we really care about you. And for him to have that community, because like, again, they used to come to our, you know, a lot of our games, a lot of our off season, you know, winter workout practices, just because again, we had a powerhouse high school. So like you will always see familiar face. This is how I met Jim Tressel. Okay. You know, just because he was to come to our school. So for me to actually sit down with him in his office, though, I was like, man, this, I'm, you know, like again, I was starstruck. Yeah. You know what I mean? But again, it is very important to build those relationships with coaches, man, because that's going to really be your determining factor, because you can't commit off of a party or off of you just have fun. Yeah,
people do.
Yeah, people do. I know people that had their minds set on a certain college and then ended up not going to that college just because they had a great time there. So they want to live that moment. You know, they want to continue to live that moment, but to each his own at the end of the day.
For sure. I mean, you bring that up. So like for you, if you're giving advice to people out there, young athletes trying to, you know, choose a university, choose a college, like what are the most important things like for you when it comes to choosing a university or college? Like what things do you feel like when you go on these recruitment visits, like what should really matter?
So again, going back to the, you know, building that relationship with coaches, especially your position coach. I would say, you know, build that communication with your position coach, because this is the guy that you're going to be with, you know, majority of the time, like when you're at that university. So I would say, you know, building that relationship with the coaches, obviously your teammates, because you don't want to be around a group of guys that just not on the same page as you.
For sure.
You know, and again, I would say family as well. You know, you got to, for example, like my mom and my father, like they want to feel comfortable that you're at the right school as well. And for me, my head coach, my high school head coach as well, because he played a huge, you know, part of me committing as well. So I would say the main thing I would say is just that relationship with coaches. And for an example, I went to Toledo as well because we had the same similar offensive structure there. So for me, it was like, okay, this will be a easy transition. You know, like I can just you know, get right in there, feel good.
Because you're used to that system.
I'm used to the system, so I wouldn't be so stressed. Let's say I go to like a Georgia school and they're under center. That'd be like a kind of a awkward, you know, situation for me to adjust. So
I got you.
I would say, you know, like just base it off of the relationships and base it off of like what are you used to as far as like what you used to do in high school. You know, what about you? What would you say?
I mean, I would say, like I said, my parents were super big on the academics. So like from that side of it, like what do you want out of the college experience? Like what are you going to school for? Because different schools are good at different things. Like some schools are specifically good in sciences or
engineers,
journalism. So that's a big part of like when you choose a school, or at least in my process, like I think that's an important part, because you're a student athlete, like you said in the previous episode. So the school part is a huge part of your whole time in college. So if you're gonna be in school, go somewhere that benefits what you're trying to do and,
definitely.
You know what I mean, what your career goal is in life. Don't just think only about football, but also about like what's the campus like what's the classroom size, what's things like that. I think I went to my recruitment visits. My parents probably asked 20 to 25 questions about the to the coaches and to the player panels. Not one of them about football. Not one. Like every question was, you know what I mean, does this school have, you know what I mean, a good science program? Does this school have, how's the classroom size? What's the ratio of people here? What's the diversity like here? Like what's the culture like here? Like how, you know what I mean, how well do you transition to get a job from this university? What's the graduation rate? Like they cared about that. So I think a lot of people, of course, as you should, focus on, you know what I mean, how you transition into football with it, but then on the other side, like how does it academically prepare you for life after football?
For life, definitely. And I think at Toledo we had a great academic advisor that she really, like during the visit, she really broke down like everything that you can expect.
Okay.
You know, literally about the academic side, about you know, when we talk study table.
Yeah.
When you are a freshman, you are required to have 8 hours. I don't know how it works. I don't know how it works at other universities, but you have to have 8 hours of study tables a week. You know, per
8
week.
hours of the week.
Yeah, but
8 hours.
and then you have to, like, your next year, like when you're a sophomore, because you have to stay on campus as a freshman.
Yeah.
But the next year, if you have like over a 2.5, like you're eligible. You know, you're eligible to move off campus.
Yeah.
So, and if you have over a 2.5 now, your study table hours goes down.
Yeah.
So that's huge motivation right there,
For
because
sure.
you get those scholarship checks, you know, when you're off campus, because they pay for your housing, school, and everything. But I would say the academic advisor, she really, you know, before I even went there, she prepared us, you know, just to what to expect, you know, as far as academics. So that made me feel comfortable about, okay, like they take academics very seriously here, you know, at Toledo. So that was a good thing for me.
Okay, that's really important. Now, of course, like, I mean, none of us are perfect. We're all human.
Yeah.
Sometimes you think something's going to be one way on the outside, and then when you get there, it's a different kind of way. So I want to get on the topic of transferring schools. Now, has that ever been a thought in your mind to transfer from Toledo?
Oh, most definitely, man.
Okay, why?
Because we had conversations in the past about you know, me being in a 2 quarterback system. Yeah. Like, let's just say half of my college career.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So being in a 2 quarterback system, man, is very stressful, because again, you are expected to ball out, like, when you get on that field, because you don't want to basically be on the bench. Yeah. So again, the guy Austin Danton, he would get the first 2 series. I would get the, you know, 3rd and 4th series. So after those 4 series, whoever basically has the hot hand stays in the game. Yeah. So for me, again, that's so stressful, because every time I had to prove myself. I had to, like, throw a touchdown. Or if I didn't throw a touchdown in 2 series, I'm gonna go on the bench. Yeah. So that being said, though, we played Ohio State, and we almost beat Ohio State this year too. And this was the crazy part about it. I threw a pick in my 2nd series. Okay. Didn't get back in the game until the 4th quarter when it was on the line, bro.
Okay, that's pressure.
So, I mean, for me, it wasn't pressure, because this is the situation. So, you know what I mean? I want to be in this situation at the end of the day. So we ended up driving to the 10, and then I had to force a throw because I was going to get that game over. We lost. Okay. But that being said, I'm crushing on the inside, bro. Yeah. Like my mental, I was like, damn, I'm thinking to myself, am I, like, shitty? Like, you know what I mean? Like, I know I'm, you know, again, I'm me and Austin great friends, but, like, I know I'm better than this guy. You know, like, I got that chip on my shoulder. I know I'm better than this guy. So, you know, I had huge conversations with my high school coach, again, Coach Ginn. I talked about, hey, man, I wanted to transfer. I was ready to, like, you know, this is not for me, man, just because, like, this 2 quarterback system not going to help me get to the lead. That was all I was thinking. I want to go to the lead, so I ain't going to be putting up numbers. I can't help contribute with the team if I'm in a 2 quarterback. It's only 1 quarterback on the field. It's not like a receiver. I'll see if I was the 5th receiver, you know, and I just rotate. That's a different story. But I was kind of crushed by that, and I was really considering, you know, transferring. Like, really, like, I didn't even care where I went, because I just knew I just wanted to just be the guy. At the end of the day. What about you?
I mean, yeah, it definitely came across my mind. I feel as though, like, going into university, going into my college, like, you know what I mean, I was good. Like, I'm one of the best guys here coming into the recruiting class. You know what I mean, I go in, you know what I mean, my redshirt freshman year, and, you know what I mean, start at corner, which is a position I never played my whole life. I didn't play corner ever. Like, I really wasn't even, I was more of an offensive player than a defensive player, but I go out there starting that corner, you know, over the other corners that they recruited to really be corners. So go out there, start all 10 games, you know what I mean, 11 games. I mean, feeling myself, do good. You know what I mean? Come back the next year, switch positions to safety, do the same kind of thing. And I'm doing my thing, I'm balling, but my team isn't winning. Yeah. You know what I mean? We're not winning. So for me, it's like I told you before, like, I was a different kind of person then. I was very more, you know what I mean, self-centered then.
That was the factor for you, for the winning and losing aspect.
Yeah, that winning, because, I mean, honestly, when you're in a losing environment, that it's a bad place to be in. Yeah. Like, you know what I mean? I always feel bad for people or franchises that are in losing situations, because I know how that breeds, like, just
the losing mentality.
Yeah, the losing mentality, that negativity, that fight. Yeah, you get numb to it. We take an L, you get numb to it. You don't even. It's like you're used to it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You have people aren't leading, things like that. Like you're fighting amongst each other. Like you know what I mean? It's just it just puts you in a very bad mental state too, because you put in so much work to be good. You know what I mean? You're working just as hard as the teams that are winning games. Putting in just as much work, but then on the field not to win. You know what I mean? And then for it not to be in your mind your fault, you're like, oh, I need to go somewhere with other winners. So for me, it was like after my sophomore year, I was like, all right, I can go anywhere and do this. Like I can go play wherever. So it was a serious thought in my mind to like, all right, go play somewhere else, just transfer. You know what I mean? To just and go. Even if I had to even sit a year, like go transfer to this, go play. Because you were seeing guys go play one good year in college and like they get drafted.
Exactly.
So for a period of time, that was my mindset. I mean, I think the mixture of my family kind of saying, yo, stick with what you're doing. You got everything together right now. Like, stay there. I had a girlfriend at the time that was really serious. So, I also was like, all right, well, you know what I mean? Like, I have to
put that into perspective.
Yeah, put that in perspective too. I've got to leave this relationship, move farther away from my family. You know what I mean? Like, and I'm already established here. I already have things going, going on here. So
was that? I'm sorry. So was that the factor that you stayed? Was more family?
I think the more family aspect was the reason I stayed. It definitely wasn't for the football. I mean, of course, I love my brothers that was on the field with, but then at the same time, when you're losing, a lot of people don't stay, so you don't retain that many people. So it's like the people that I came in with a class of like 30, 40 guys, and by the time I'm at my junior year, it's like 7 of us. You know what I mean? Something like that. So it's like, you know what I mean? It was like, all right, you done put in so much work. You're so close to graduating. You got everything together. You know what I mean? You're kind of good here. You know what I mean? Football life really wasn't what you wanted it, but it's like, you know what? At the same time, I always felt like I'm gonna get another chance to go play somewhere else at another level, and I'm gonna show out there. So
I think I just stayed because of my coach, my high school coach. At the end of the day, because again, like we had multiple conversations about me, wanting to leave it because I was just not happy. Like he's the guy that I can call just to vent to. You know what I mean? Express my feelings and things like that, and he was just saying, basically encourage me to stay at the end of the day, and. I will always take his word, because his word has gotten me to where I am now. Honestly, so he was really the factor, because I would say if I never talked to him and I was still feeling, I think I probably would have transferred. Okay, most definitely. Okay, sure, man.
That's big though. I mean that transfer thing is a big. It's a big topic. A lot of people, make that choice. I know the NCAA just made the transfer portal where now people can, transfer without losing the years of eligibility.
Talk about that a little bit.
Yeah, basically the NCAA is like, I think 2018, 2019 season, they basically were like, hey, we're going to create this transfer portal where before, when people would have to transfer, they would either have to, sit for a number of games or sit for the year. And they lose a year eligibility, which if you don't already know as young players, like you have only a certain amount of time from the time that you start college to the time to be able to play a certain number of seasons. So you have a certain number of eligible seasons. You typically have 4 seasons to play. You may have a red shirt season where you kind of take that year off to kind of grow, and then some people have a gray shirt season, which is kind of a weird situation, but kind of like a extra year. And then some things factor and play different. Like if you get a medical red shirt, then you have the ability to play another year. But essentially, you have 4 seasons to kind of play, and you don't want to lose any of those seasons. So with the transfer portal, it kind of gives you the ability to transfer and not lose a year of eligibility, which before you would normally lose.
Exactly.
So that became a big thing for a lot of people. So that's a great aspect. Honestly, when it comes to choosing schools, you gotta do your research. You gotta do your homework on all aspects, like from the athletic side to the academic side. You understand some of the school's history, because listen, recruiting is big business. So schools will do a ton of different things in order to
any
get
and
everything, like to get people there. I know Terrence, you're close to you're in that Ohio State Buckeye area. I know you had Tattoo Gate, out there happening. So tell us a little bit about that. Like,
it's just a lot of promising, that the I'm just gonna say it at Ohio State, they do a lot of promising, when they recruit you, but at the same time, it's actually accurate promising. It's not like they just saying this, we're gonna do this and that. They actually they're man of their word. I should say. But I would say it's more not necessarily the university. It's more the boosters.
Yeah.
It's more boosters because these boosters know that you're the top recruit. Things like that. So they know when you're coming on that visit. They find ways. Like these boosters. Typically boosters are like millionaire guys. Millionaire people that they know. People in position to get access to you at the end of the day. So again, we talking about tattoos. It was a period in time at Ohio State where everybody, not everyone, but majority of the team was getting like free tattoos and like free food, free tattoos, like you name it. Like it was just cars. And we're not talking like a Ford Focus.
No Honda Civic.
No Honda Civic. We're talking about kind of exotic. At that time, let's say like 2007, 2008. Remember the Dodge, the Chargers. Chargers, Magnums, man. Like those were but they were like suited up, like rims and everything on it. So like it was kind of crazy, like just for a college athlete to have this much in college, bro. So like that's when that the NCAA investigation started to happen, and a lot of more and more colleges, obviously more colleges was doing it as well, but it was just a huge highlighted on Ohio State, and it was just crazy just to see and to know the actual players that actually was into it,
involved in it.
Yes, it was crazy, man.
I mean, and that's the thing. It's not it's not specific to Ohio State. A lot of schools, if not most, I would say in my personal opinion, most powerhouse programs. Like they're not doing things 100% by the rules. They give certain benefits to players, whether it be money, whether it be gifts, whether it be things for their parents, paying mortgages, houses, cars, refrigerators, TVs, like
anything you need, basically.
Anything you need to make your life better, or whatever your family needs to make their life better, whether it be a job or anything like that. That's a real part of college sports. Like that's something that. That you don't always catch. There's some big, programs. There are some big incidents that you see about. You heard Terrence talked about the Ohio State thing. Of course, the SMU with the death penalty for giving players money. Of course, everybody knows about the University of Miami, the U. The early 2000s, where they was just living crazy, like on yachts, getting money, doing drugs, like getting everything, paying for abortions, like everything was happening back then. So, you know what I mean? Like that happens in programs. So like, so when you get into college programs, like. That's the thing, and I'm not saying this to even bash the schools or anything like that. Right. But it's just it's a part of it. You need to know that when you're into the recruiting process, like know that hey, and if you get caught in something like this, there is, you pay for that. Like it's not only the school that pays for that. That's you. We saw. If you don't know, you saw Reggie Bush got his Heisman Trophy taken away. Over things like that. So it's not. So when you're looking at schools and you're looking at things like that, when those situations kind of come. Appear in front of you, just know that, if you take that risk, there's a consequence to it, like, big time sometimes.
So I would suggest don't even entertain it, because at the end of the day, that can hurt yourself from getting that degree. You can get kicked out of school if you get caught at that time, or even if you don't get caught at the time and later on in life, it can always come about and it can always affect you in some sort of way negatively. So I would say, man, don't even bother with it. I remember we had our spring game. This was my senior year. We had a spring game. A fan, because, we signed autographs after the spring game. A fan left me a hat, left me a hat. And my coach, my quarterback coach was like, where'd you get the hat from? Because as we were done, we were going into the locker room. And I was like, shit, one of the fans gave me this. He was like, give me the hat. Give me the hat. And I was like, I wasn't thinking nothing of it, because, again, we're not in the Big Ten. We're not in the SEC, bro. So it's like we in the MAC. The hat was weak. It wasn't even like a sweet hat. It wasn't even a Nike hat, bro. It was like something that he created. You know what I mean? He was just a fan. Gave me a hat. Then there was a time where we had, we talked about like, people giving, like, let's say franchises giving, like restaurant franchises giving free food. Like we had a restaurant that had just opened like 5 minutes away from campus. Breakfast spot. I'm talking about anything you order, everything came to $3, bro. Okay. I'm talking about 7 pancakes, big scrambled eggs, hash browns, everything $3, bro. And
I'm about to go over there real quick.
Bro, we would go there. Everybody was so gassed and happy about it. So it got to the coach's attention.
Okay.
Team meeting. Head coach. no, hey, he's a bad guy. Don't go there. You know what I mean? I'm like, man, that's $3.
Right, I'm gonna take that.
We are in college, man. $3.
Right. Hey, listen, college is like, understand it is a time where you're probably gonna be the brokest in your life in college, right? Because especially when you play, you don't have time to work. You know what I mean? When you're playing full time and going to school, I mean, a lot of times at certain levels you can't work. Yeah. And then so that's a big thing. And then also even if you had the ability to work, the chances of you having the time to actually work a significant amount of hours to make money is really unlikely. So,
but on the other hand, there is ways to make money in college legally as well.
Okay, I was making sure.
No, legally, because I used to throw parties.
Okay,
I used to throw parties, but like I wasn't like the face, because again, you know, in college we can't put like our name.
Yes,
you know, it's against the NCAA rules. But like I had, again, Toledo is 2 hours away from Cleveland. I had guys from Cleveland. Shout out to Mike Reck. He does our intro. Yeah, he went to Toledo as well, and like guys like him would be like the face of the parties. I would just invest my scholarship checks, put my money into this, put my money into the parties, get a percentage. So I used to flip my scholarship checks.
Okay, I got you.
So I mean, there's multiple ways, but that's just another way, to make some money.
For sure. But I mean, now we're going to transition and have a special guest on, Jonathan Newsome, that can speak a little bit more about the college recruiting visits and the whole process and the transfer process. So stay tuned.